it's time to move on to the next day, because you actually had a flight that night, and you flew back to the US from Brazil to play in the Texas Checkmate event in Arlington, Texas. USA versus India, a very novel concept. 5 versus 5. Best players, as well as best streamers, as well as best female chess players from both countries. So it was a very interesting exhibition style event. Um, it drew some controversy, as we will get into in just a second. But I do want to sort of start with the fun part, and I guess the whole event was quite fun. But I do feel there was an interesting moment. First of all, let's start with this one, and this was something that was sort of discussed. And you were not at this, let's say, meeting, pre-tournament meeting, but did you see this? Did they tell you about the idea that you need to sort of show showmanship when you win or throughout the event? Did they tell you that?
Yeah, it was like generally made clear what the event was about. It was an exhibition event. It was basically to, in some ways, kickstart, I think, the projects they're going to go forward with in the future. So this was their kind of first trial, you know. It was an ambitious event, but it was pretty clear when I was told about it, when I accepted to play, when other players accepted to play, that this was an event that's for entertainment. You're going to be playing it up a bit. It's not your traditional chess event, which is fine. It's one of the reasons why I was okay with the crowd and all the noise and everything compared to other events where I complained about the same thing, because I just viewed them as totally separate concepts. One is an event where you're like the freestyle event. It's, you know, event where we're trying to find out who's the best in the world at this format, at freestyle, versus one where we're having fun, we're putting on a show for the public, which both are good things. They just, you know, they just have different atmospheres, different requirements. So I was told that, you know, after the game, tip the king over, do something a bit showy. I just tipped the king over. I wasn't going to do anything too extreme. I think that was kind of the idea for like the last matches to be played, because they were played in a row. I started first against Arjun Erigaisi. Then Tani played Ethan Vass. Then Carissa played Divya. Then Cigar and Levy, Gotham Chess, they played. And the final game to be played was Hikaru versus Gukesh. That was the order.
And for the sake of transparency, we should play this clip from the pre-tournament meeting, just to show the organizer explaining more or less the showmanship aspect of it all.
Interesting.
I should have, when everybody was here, I should have showed something. When you checkmate your opponent,
Yeah.
you should topple the king, the opponent's king, or you capture the king and you show it to everybody,
Oh.
or you do something with it.
Why are you holding up the white king?
Sorry?
You shouldn't have the black king.
Yeah, I should we only have 2 sets of it because these are the new.
Actually,
you realize.
if you run out of time, we'll stop automatically, or if I make a move, does the player have to claim it?
Let it
Just let it go to 0 and let me see what happens.
It's so long.
Yeah, that's a lot of time.
He's like,
I don't think it matters.
Aye.
I don't think it matters that much.
Yeah, there's no more rules.
I will repeat that together before.
So like if I make a move, it just auto ends.
I can have it. Wait, like if someone loses, there's
At some point, I think Hikaru did mention that he's going to throw a king. Just trying
So
to.
it's over when your time gets 0. It's just over. Like you can't move and get 2 seconds.
It will say flat.
Okay, got it.
It's just a
So
new
yeah, just don't run out of time.
Just a quick thing. These are the new pieces from DJT.
Yeah, he says it at some point. I'm not really sure where it is, but he does say that he's probably going to throw the king. So he's kind of telegraphing his move. We will get to that in just a second. By the way, cool clock. I do like it, from the sponsor Tagger, or whatever you.
Well, the guy who developed it, or maybe it was a bunch of people, but at least the guy who like ran me through it and he was talking about the software and everything, was on the screen. It was next to the organizer Salim. So okay, they designed this clock for the tournament. It was a bit unusual, although I had no issue with it. And the idea was that the arbiter starts it and can control it. And I think their main idea was that if there's some sort of conflict during the game, like an illegal move, these kinds of things where you add time, they don't want to see an arbiter fumbling with the clock. The arbiter just has like an app on the phone and just like says plus 15 seconds, plus 1 minute, and adds the time very quickly, which is
Okay, that's cool. That's cool.
which is admittedly a pretty useful thing, so that you don't have, because as chess players we all know, we've been there where the arbiters has to mess around with the clock and sometimes it takes a bit of time. Anyway, their whole idea was for it to be a show. That's why we had the play till checkmate rule. I think at the initial thing it was like you can resign, but you have to pay a like fine for resigning, which So basically, you play till checkmate, which for us, everyone playing the event, it's obvious when one side is 100% going to win. But if people aren't too familiar with chess, maybe they want to understand why the game is over. And the way you understand is the game is over because the rules of the game say that you've lost the game, right? Not because the players decided that they can no longer save the game, which is fair. It's actually a reasonable point. I mean, I have no problem with resignation because the commentators can explain why did someone resign. It's usually easy enough to grasp. But playing till checkmate, especially in an exhibition event, I don't see the issue with it. Although it feels unnatural to the players. The time control was 10 minutes, and the increment kicks into effect after 1 minute, probably because they didn't want to see totally crazy, like, pieces flying sort of time scramble. The most unusual thing of the event was the crowd. It was a live audience. They could see the games. They didn't see the evaluation, but they could see the games on the screens, giant monitors. We were playing on a big stage.
Wait,
and
so they couldn't see the eval bar?
No, they just saw the games and the players. They both saw the players on the stage and also on the screens. There was big.
But it felt like they were actually extremely good at spotting the critical moments because they were starting to make noise exactly when the bar was swinging. So
they were also sometimes randomly like getting loud, so it wasn't always. But maybe they sometimes felt that there was like something happening.
That's interesting. And by the way,
It was very, very loud.
Okay.
Which I think is distracting, but it was also part of the event. So, I think Arjun, when I played against him, it felt like he was struggling to deal with the amount of noise and the crowd getting really, really loud.
Yep.
It was also a big crowd, 1,100 people.
Yeah. No, I was impressed with the crowd.
Which is
definitely
significant.
Impressed with the crowd. I did
Considering
not
that the tickets were about 100. So I forget, 140, I think.
Yep.
So they sold out the seats. It was about 1,100 people. My family came. It was an interesting thing for me because I have a niece and nephew who don't play chess very much, or my niece doesn't really play at all. And they're not super young anymore, but okay, I remember trying to teach them chess when they were super, super young. But anyway, I asked them and their mother if they wanted to come see the event. I thought it wouldn't be like the normal type of event where it's going to be hard for someone who's not involved in chess to kind of appreciate it. And they might actually appreciate it because it's going to be this. I kind of expected what we were getting.
Yep.
And so my niece, 12 years old, my nephew turning 18 soon, they actually enjoyed it very much. For non-chess players, my niece doesn't even know the rules, and especially for kids who mostly they're used to either playing games on their phone or watching TikTok. Actually, pretty impressive that it kept their attention for a few hours and that they genuinely enjoyed it.
Well, I mean, there are so many factors that could make the whole experience extremely enjoyable for a newcomer. One of them being obviously the battle between two nations, and I did see that a lot of the spectators were waving flags, and a lot of them perhaps even traveled from India. So it was definitely a rivalry brewing, but
I think there's also a very big Indian community in
Texas, yeah, for sure,
in
100%.
Dallas and probably
100%.
also Arlington, yeah, in general in Texas. So yeah, there
90%
were
of my students when I was in Texas were Indians. So yeah,
yeah,
they have
which
a
was
huge,
probably part of
huge
the reason
audience.
for the venue decision.
By the way, this is the moment Hikaru decides that he will throw the king. Before we move on to another cool moment that I wanted to show you. Come on, my internet is, for whatever reason. Oh, there it is.
Yeah, it's a little bit disappointing. Yeah. I was thinking he can throw it into the crowd.
Is he getting that?
Oh my god.
When the villain arc was born. Okay, moving on to another cool moment. Boom. First and foremost, take a look at this.
Introducing now their opponents, Team USA! Introducing first, a four-time United States champion and the number 3 ranked player in the world, Fabiano Caruana!
Okay, first of all, why did you decide to run? Run into
It was
the
a
crowd.
long walk. And I thought it would be awkward to have this like introduction and then the like 2-minute walk to stage.
I loved it, by the
So-
way. I loved the run. Very energetic.
I decided I was gonna run, but it was so crowded that I couldn't run. I would have hit people. So I did like a slow jog.
Yeah.
And there were people putting their hands up. It
That
was
fun.
definitely a
That
bit
was fun.
different. It was a definitely unusual for a chess player, unusual moment.
For security reason, I don't think this will work in the future. I think it's somewhat dangerous to allow you guys to just not have any shield between you and the
But we never do,
spectators.
no? I mean, like, I go to, let's say, the Olympiad. What shield do I have? If we have, like, a crazy guy who wants to murder a chess player for whatever reason, honestly, we never have real protection. Like, in Brazil, by the way, back to Grand Chess Tour for a second. The crowd in Brazil was kind of similarly impressive. I would say also we were, like, each single day they sold out the seats and
Yep.
probably also looking at hundreds or potentially over 1,000 people daily for a classical event, a classical game ending every single time in a draw. But that's also a bit unique to Brazil because Brazil has like very enthusiastic chess fans, and I already was aware of that. So
Yeah, I think Gary mentioned it's somewhat of a sleeping giant. We haven't seen a lot of events being held in Brazil, but they definitely have the fan base.
yeah, that's for sure. But in terms of security, of course, yeah, if you have a crazy guy, they can do whatever they want here. I mean, yeah, it's a security nightmare if that ever becomes an issue. But like we never have a protection. The assumption is that chess fans won't be that crazy, and chess players will not be a target for. But you never know. There are crazy people in the world, and chess is at least a little bit mainstream now to the point that you might encounter one of those crazies.
100%.
Anyway, that's another issue.
100%.
I hope that we won't have to ever consider in serious detail. But yeah, it was an impressive crowd.
Good game.
He's laughing. He looked at the crowd and he was smiling.
And then you smile here. You sort of realize that you're winning. I thought that this moment was pretty cool to see. Obviously,
Back to play.
you also
Chess
had a
back to
huge
win.
time
Sleeps.
advantage.
Yeah, and we're not even talking about gaming.
Who were
in
you
terms
smiling
of
to?
And look at him.
the
He's
quality
laughing.
of his play.
He looked at the crowd and he was smiling.
Parship
Eric,
got very excited about it.
Well, of course, I knew I was winning for some time once I got queen c2, I was pretty convinced I was going to win. I mean, it kind of plays itself. But I think at that moment I just saw my sister-in-law in the crowd, and she was, she was getting very, very excited. She's also a sports fan, so
Very cool.
she was getting very animated. I think that's why I did. But yeah, it's also kind of a pleasant situation where you cannot not win this.
Yeah.
The only thing I played queen c3 because rook takes d5. I saw if it's should be winning, but then I win the queen, but maybe he gets his 2 rooks to the first rank, and who knows, maybe he makes a draw there. So I think queen c3 was really clinical. Just you can't stop f5, and that's game over.
Yeah, it's the best move. It's the best move.
And the thing is, I do have like one overall complaint about, or not, I don't know, complaint or criticism or constructive criticism, let's say, of the event, which is that when they first approached me, I knew that they were generally serious, that they could pull off something well, because also they've organized other events and with success, so they kind of know what they should be aiming for. And it is an exhibition event, so the format probably didn't take too much priority. Like it's a match between USA India, and it's one game. Each match is worth 1 point. The issue, which I mentioned to them before, is what if someone just sweeps the first 3 matches? Then you kind of you don't have anything on the line for the last 2.
Good point. Well,
And
which was
I
the
didn't
case.
I didn't really expect it to happen, but it did happen that we swept the first 3 matches. And especially when you have the final matches between Gukesh and Hikaru, and for many, if not most people, it's going to be the main draw. Just being realistic. You don't really want to have a situation where where they're not really playing for anything concrete, anything tangible. I think luckily, because people were just there to see a good show, it was still enjoyable. The final 2 matches were still enjoyable, and that happened to be the best matches from an interest point of view. Like my match against Arjun was kind of one-sided in some ways, at least towards the end. Carissa versus Divya was one-sided from the very beginning. Ethan Vass versus Tani, which
That
Tani
was a
won.
very tense game.
That was a very good game.
Yes. I
But
really
the only
enjoyed
ones
that.
which went to overtime, went to faster time controls, were Levy, Cigar, Hikaru, Gukesh.
When the match was
and-
already over.
Yeah, and the last match, Hikaru Gukesh went to bullet. It was the most tense match of any. And unfortunately, the match was decided at that point. So it was, I think, a sort of foreseeable issue in the format, which if we continue, and I think there's supposed to be a rematch, India will get white pieces in every game, and it will be played on their home territory and so on. Probably the format should be considered a bit more so you don't have that situation. At least some change, which I'm sure some things could be thought of. But besides that, I really thought they did a good job overall. And that's speaking as one of these chess elitists full of contempt, I don't see the issue with having fun events like this. It's not a replacement for classical. It's not a replacement for the Grand Chess Tour. It's just they both exist. They both can be very fun for the spectators to watch and also for the players to participate in.
Yeah. And now, with the cherry on top, let's discuss the big moment. I would say the controversial moment of Checkmate USA versus India, the moment where Hikaru defeats Gukesh in the bullet portion and throws his king to the crowd. Let's take a look. You're like, what the fuck just happened? It was a fun moment. Obviously, a lot of people did not enjoy it. I did not expect it to become a thing, but I went to sleep that night, and in the morning when I woke up, basically Twitter was on fire, with people taking both sides. Obviously, some people were saying that it was just an exhibition match. The context behind it is that they were told that they should show this type of showmanship situations and emotions and play with the crowd, which Hikaru did, obviously. And the other side of it was somewhat disrespectful to do this to the world champion. And it seems like it's a cultural difference. Obviously, Indians seem to have a much more serious view on their craft and chess as a whole in general, which makes a lot of sense. And we in the West, and especially how this tournament was organized, there was a lot of showmanship and a lot of spectacle behind it and expected from the players. What's your reaction to it?
Well, to start with, I really like. It's not my style to do something like that. So it's not something I would do. On the other hand, since it's part of what you expect from this event, I don't really see the big deal. You know, if that's how Hikaru celebrates, I certainly don't see it as disrespectful. It's not my style to do something flashy like that. Hikaru obviously planned it, and it was also the idea of the event from the organizers, and the players on Team India were told the same thing, sort of, that's the idea here. You know, they probably would have also celebrated if they had won. Also, in general, Indians, pretty celebratory nation, right? I mean, not known for their lack of aplomb. I mean, they're so it is a bit funny. I think, like especially when they won the Olympiad, for example, they were celebrating big time there. I think that a lot of it is that we're looking at the internet, which is not a real place. It's all fake. It's all bullshit. It's people trying to get clicks on Twitter. So I wouldn't read too much into that. There are going to be people who genuinely don't like this event because they think it's not, you know, how chess should be. Chess should be serious. I agree. Chess is a serious thing. There are a lot of serious events that are the main draw in chess. The World Championship is the main draw in chess. The Candidates is the main draw. These are events where people who play put everything on the line. You might have one chance in your career to become world champion, maybe 0 chances for most people. You might have one chance to play in the Candidates, maybe a few if you're lucky. And people put everything in those events, and those events will continue. Then you have something like this where the players are just there to have fun and probably to celebrate with their team if they win. Those two things can coexist. Actually, they probably should coexist. I mean, they probably do help one another, as long as we don't forget about having both. You know, if we think that this is the only way to have a huge crowd like this, then we will lose out on traditional chess, with meaningful games, with storylines that last for decades or longer, right? Matches like, you know, the Kasparov-Karpov and so on, Fischer-Spassky. But if we can't allow a bit of fun, then what are we doing? So yeah, I also wouldn't read too much into the Twitter people. it's all fake. It's all nonsense. I saw that it starts the culture war in India
did.
versus America.
It did. It definitely did. It's actually getting somewhat serious. Like there's tweets with, I don't know, maybe 50,000 likes and stuff like that. So like it's
It's sort of
somewhat
like
popular.
Magnus, Magnus and Gukesh and Norway Chess. It's going to start some short storm on Twitter. I saw also like U.S. nationalist accounts posting stuff.
Really?
U.S. 150, and then it's all the comments are like "God bless America" and so on. But that's kind of the price of going mainstream on the internet or semi-mainstream on the internet. It's also not something we should really care about too much. Anyway, those are my thoughts on the event. I don't really see the big controversy. Nobody from the players, I think, had an issue.
Yeah.
I can't speak for everyone, but
So you don't think Gukesh felt disrespected by it?
well, it would be. I don't think so because it was part of what we signed up for.
Consented to, let's say.
Yeah, you could say that we consented to it. Also, if India had gone crazy after winning the match, which also India definitely had a realistic chance of winning the match if things had gone a bit differently, I wouldn't have minded if they celebrated. I would have kind of expected it. So throwing the king in the crowd, like for me, the way I was brought up, you never do anything with the chess pieces. They're kind of holy, right? I remember being scolded for putting something on a chessboard once. I forget, a stack of papers or something. You just don't. So that's my upbringing. I almost felt like when I tipped the king over, which I did because I was told that that's what they want. I almost felt a bit childish because this was like the kid thing to do. You remember the movies, right?
Yes,
in the
of
US, like you knock the king over. It's a thing that you stop doing when you're usually when you stop playing scholastic tournaments. But anyway,
It's basically for short
That's the
form
event.
content. Yeah, like you're going to be able to clip that and put it in the short form content and try to inspire, let's say, to inspire the crowd and make the event bigger. Which I think it's kind of the idea behind it, and it's the business purpose behind it, obviously. From a business perspective, do you think this project has a future? Like how do you think it's going to develop?
So I think with the project, the first two things are the product you have and the people who run it. And the people who run it, I thought they were serious. Mm-hmm. I think they also did a good job. And they took it seriously, and they produced something which people enjoyed, both in person, definitely. That was very obvious. And I believe online people also mostly enjoyed it, if I disregard the controversy or
Even the
manufactured.
king toss, without the king toss. Like I think it
Yeah,
was a fun
I think
event.
people generally did enjoy it. So that they wanted to prove their concept. I think in that sense they did. Is it here to stay? I don't know. That's for time to decide. It's but I wouldn't be surprised if we see a number more events from them. Maybe similar to this, maybe slightly different. Maybe they have different plans. I don't know exactly what their goals will be, but we'll see. And overall, I thought it was a success.
Do you think the event could become, okay, let's say it becomes very popular. Do you think it could transition from just purely an exhibition match to something with meaning on the line for the players? Like with actual, let's say they don't, give you an appearance fee. They actually put prizes on the line. Like the winning team gets 100K, let's say.
Well, we did actually get something. The winning team was given watches.
Very nice watches. Yes.
Yeah.
Of course.
Each watch had a value $7,250.
Significant.
Tag Heuer sponsored gave watches. 5 watches.
Yeah.
35 grand, right? Actually, it's not 100 grand, but it's still something.
It's
right?
good. It's definitely
It's
good.
still something.
Yeah.
And so there was something to play for. Now, if we're talking about, let's say, each player playing for 100 grand, something which is, for some people, will be life-changing, for some people will be significant, probably you should get the format and a few more essential things to ensure that the play is not affected by the crowd, which I think, of course, as I've said before, the crowd will affect the play. You know, they're being loud. It's good for the hype. It also, of course, can be distracting, and I just managed it pretty well, I thought, and Arjun struggled, and I think also you saw like Ethan Voss, young kid, seemed like a really nice kid. I had like a funny moment where I asked him if my nephew and niece can take a photo with him, and he seemed genuinely surprised, but seemed like a nice kid. If you saw his heart rate
It went
when
through
he
the
started
roof.
playing,
It was at
Assuming that-
170.
assuming those things are accurate, to start a game when you're when you're already basically like sprinting, obviously the players were nervous.
Yeah.
So if we're playing for like really, really big stakes, then of course we have to consider these things because it becomes suddenly a very serious event where, you know, we're talking about maybe life-changing money for people, things like that. So that's for the future.
I love
Obviously, it was kind of low stakes. You know, we were playing for watches and for national pride. If you want to say that national pride was on the line. But yeah, that's basically all my thoughts on the event.
I love it. I love it. No, I think generally it was a success. This was one of the metrics that I always said that whenever it happens, this is going to be a great sign for chess. Whenever we are able to basically sell tickets and put butts in the seats in an actual arena, I think that's when chess could go to the next stage. Obviously not from like a purist perspective, but more of a showmanship perspective.
By the way, if we're talking about the balance between a good show for the spectators, a big spectator crowd, and fair play conditions, I think the Grand Chess Tour final it kind of did everything right. They didn't have like live Val bar or commentary, but they had a very comfortable arena.
Yep.
A theater for a few hundred people to sit in. It was very easy to watch. The view was good of everything. It was technically well done, and the people enjoyed it, and they also sold out the tickets every
Yep.
single day.
Yeah, and I think
So-
it's not the first time they've done that in Poland as well, and in Croatia they always have a pretty significant crowd. But it looked really good. From obviously I wasn't in Brazil, I was in St. Louis, but on the broadcast also it looked like a very nice stage.
Yeah, I'm not exaggerating. It was a good crowd, and it's always funny to me when people criticize the Grand Chess Tour as like a no interest event. But in terms of live crowds, sometimes some of the more impressive ones have been. Very often, some of the more impressive ones have been the Grand Chess Tour crowds.
100%.
Anyway,
Yeah.
we've gone through that tournament quite a bit.
Yep. Beautiful, Fabi. Excellent. That's more or less everything that we should be chatting about. There's a few events, maybe we'll get there in at a different time, but we've already went quite long on this one. So thanks for taking the time, and yeah, I'll see you in Fabiano's masterclass. Cheers.